I was always very interested to meet you. I'd heard so much about you from Vesper. If she hadn't killed herself, we would have had you too.
Are you going to tell us who you work for?
The first thing you should know about us is that we have people everywhere.
I thought I could trust you. You said you weren't motivated by revenge.
I'm motivated by my duty.
I think you're so blinded by inconsolable rage that you don't care who you hurt. When you can't tell your friends from your enemies, it's time to go.
You don't have to worry about me.
Hello and welcome to The Road to No Time to Die. What do you want to watch is look back at Daniel Craig's era as James Bond. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today, British secret agent Ciaran Marchant.
It is I streaming through the burst of the freaking film of this length that's so quick. I don't know. I just lost my words then. I'm not suave. I can't be James Bond. Fuck.
It's fine. We'll get some writers to come in and punch up your dialogue. Also joining us, the Explosion to X own M, Dylan Blight.
I felt fucking sick watching the opening in this movie. It's like the dude in the editing booth is like just discovered the cut button. Next sentence change. It's like motherfucker watching WWE. It's like
no, we're over here. Now we're over here. Now we're looking here. Now we're over here. Now we're over here.
Yeah, fucking calm down, please.
Right. Yes, so please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything, everything about the plot themes and any of the films. So if you haven't watched it, come back later. So with that said, let's jump to our discussion of Quantum of Solace, directed by Marc Forster, written by Paul Haggis, Neal Purvis, and Robert Wade, based on James Bond by Ian Fleming, starring Daniel Craig, Olga Kurylenko, Mathieu, Amalric, Gemma Arterton, Jeffrey Wright, and Judi Dench. Following the death of Vesper Lind, James Bond makes his next mission personal. The hunt for those who blackmailed his lover leads him to ruthless businessman Dominic Greene, a key player in the organization which coerced Vesper. Bond learns that Greene is plotting to gain total control of a vital natural resource, and he must navigate a minefield of danger and treachery to foil the plan. Ciaran, what did you think of Quantum of Solace?
Man, this was like a filler episode of anime. Like, like it feels like, I don't know. It feels like there's often in Japanese in anime where they're on a journey from one place to another, but they're like, to fill in the gap of that journey, let's just put some kind of really quick-paced, pointless movie event arc in so that people are still watching while we finish off the good thing. And that's what this movie feels like. I feel like no real time to develop anything in this movie. There's kind of a lot of leaps in logic where you're supposed to just believe that James Bond has developed relationships with characters that he somehow has known for like all of 5 minutes. Maybe at the time of Casino Royale there was a lot of feedback about that movie not having enough action scenes or enough set pieces, because this movie, maybe it's just because of the short 90-minute runtime, just felt like there was a fuck ton more action scenes, especially just starting with the car chase at the beginning. Even though it's kind of cool that is set directly after the closing moments of Casino Royale, it's still, this one just doesn't feel really well written. It feels like it's just kind of retreading a lot of the like same story beats as Casino Royale in terms of like Bond's relationship with M and his work for the MI6. It wasn't. This movie is no Casino Royale, and it just looks like it's trying to get out of the way as quick as it can for Skyfall. Honestly.
Yep. Dylan.
It's bad, but I kind of enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. I think that's because I went in knowing that I didn't like it, and knowing that it's quite messy and also very bland at the same time. Like, it's just a 90-minute action film. It's like it's a 90-minute mediocre action film, which is not what James Bond films usually are, 007 films usually are. And it's just just really messy from the script to the way, as I was making fun of before, the editing and just the action scenes are just all over the fucking shop. They're just like rushed and terrible, or like they were filmed in 2 days, so they try and make up for the excitement in the editing booth and stuff like this. But it just, I think I said to Ash like the other day after I watched it, because I was like, I kind of didn't realize how sort of simplistic the Bond villain plot was in this one. I kind of forgot. It is literally like a very boring dude who's just like, gonna like take over the fucking water supply, man. Gonna like dig for gold or some shit. Fucking, I want to make these motherfuckers pay for their water. Okay, you want to rule the world or global terrorism? No, just here.
It almost felt like
just in this square.
It felt a bit like whoever was writing was just like, hey, we're going to point out that the people trying to save the planet or seem like they're saving the planet can be bad guys too. Boom.
Got him. He's just so boring though. Like, he's not even he's just such a bland Bond villain. Like, it's just weird how boring. I don't even remember the character's name. I don't even care. Don't even tell me. I don't know.
Because the only reason I remember that is because Mr. White and Mr. Green, and it made me chuckle. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, everyone's a fucking Reservoir Dogs character over it. Bloody ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, there's some enjoyable parts, I guess. Like, I actually didn't feel like Olga, whatever her name is, like she's quite good in it. Like, I don't say I love her character, but like she's good in the film. Giancarlo, whatever his name is, who comes back as Mathers or Mathers, right? Yeah. I forgot he came back for this one.
I really like his character.
I enjoyed seeing him back. Yeah, really enjoyed his character up until he was brutally just sort of killed off screen, which, you know, is what it is. Gemma Arterton's in this. Didn't remember her being in it. And she's only briefly in it, but she is in it. So I was like, shout outs to that. David Arbour's in this.
It's been weird recently. We rewatched a couple of things that he's been in.
2 Marvel characters, yeah. Oh, several things that he's just like playing bit parts in the background.
Like he's in the original Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't remember him being in that.
Completely forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
Crazy. There's a few other people like this. Rory Kenner's in this one for the first time or whatever. I think it's someone else, I can't remember. But yeah, there was a few surprising things. But I mean, for the most part, look, it's a bad movie, and I'm not really sticking up for it. But I just think it's a bad James Bond movie, but I just think it's an okay non-James Bond movie, if that makes sense. Like, in the scheme of Bond, it's worse. But if you were just to say, if it wasn't James Bond and this was just a brand new IP, you'd be like, I don't know, it's like a 6 out of fucking 10 mediocre action movie that you might watch if it was on TV, you know? But because it's James Bond, it just gets knocked down that extra, you know, to like a 4 out of 5 kind of scenario.
Yeah, this is kind of like a forgettable entry, you know? Sure, it takes place right after the events of Casino Royale, but it doesn't really... And it kind of slightly explores that, but really it doesn't. And
it does at the start and then does at the end, and in between doesn't matter.
It's worth pointing out that obviously the shoot was dramatically affected by the writer's strike. Apparently they'd finished the script, or at least what was of the script, 2 hours before the strike started. And then no writer was allowed to work on it until really late, I believe, into shooting. Like, some of the last couple of scenes, they got a writer to come help out on some stuff. But other than that, it was Forster and Craig, like, working on stuff. And Craig admits...
And they're uncredited because they're not proper.
Craig has admittedly said he's not a writer. So not paid. Yeah, it's kind of, like you said, a pretty boring plot. Like, the villain, he's just not interesting, or like... He's not a threat in any way, really, when you think about it.
It's
he's such a little bitch.
It's like the orchestra, like, not orchestra, the freaking opera scene. I think that scene's really cool. I really like that scene as a James Bond scene, but pretty much absolutely nothing comes of it. afterwards to that point. Like, there's like little bits and pieces, but it feels like that should be like busting the roof off it and kind of setting the pace for the next hour or so of the movie, but it really doesn't. It just kind of, no, we're still focused on this Mr. Greene guy. That's all we care about, not all these people, not this big organization that we're trying to work out, just this Greene guy. And it's like, sure, and once again everybody's like, nobody believes or trusts Bond, and you're just like, come on guys, somebody's eventually gonna have his back a little bit.
This is mission number 2, right? When you think about it. And what's he done? Kills like 6-7 people. Right off the bat.
Well, as a double O, I guess.
As a double O.
He has a license to kill, you know?
He does have a license to kill, but just because you have a license doesn't mean you
know that. Well, I mean, you know that the other thing I was thinking while I was rewatching this is like, spoilers, I don't like Spectre either, but I'm wondering if watching all these in close succession week after week, when I get to Spectre, I might enjoy it now more, because I remember watching Spectre the first time, and they have a scene where they quickly try and like sort of retroactively rewrite a bunch of shit from the past, the 3 movies prior, and we're like, this guy was actually this guy's boss, and fucking this thing, and Casino Royale this, and this Quantum of Solace wasn't actually this, and it was all like an under thing to Spectre. And I remember sitting in the cinema going, what the fuck are you talking about? like I have not watched Quantum of Solace since it came out like 10 years ago. I'd watched Skyfall several times, but I'd watched Casino Royale several times, but otherwise I wasn't watching any of them. I didn't rewatch any of those movies going into it. This is the first time I've watched the Daniel Craig ones in like succession. And yeah, I'm now wondering, I'm like, fuck, maybe that scene will make more sense. Maybe it won't, because it's still dumb. I remember sitting there going, what the fuck are you saying? What are you on about? Like, but yeah, watching this, I'm like, Quantum of Solace. You can tell they were trying to make it this whole like Spectre thing. And then like 2 films from now, they're going to be like, nah, fuck that Spectre. Still, it's back. Like, bring it back, baby. When they did all the promotional material, they're like, nah, it's not Spectre. We're not doing Blofeld. No, we're not doing any of that. Man, we did the Quantum of Solace. Remember that? They were the ones. Yeah, fucking all liars.
And then Skyfall kind of forgets about it and moves on its own kind of beat for a while,
smart.
And then, which is very good, and goes back to it for Spectre. Makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Do you guys have a favorite action scene? I think the chase of him through, I don't know, whatever city it was while that horse race is going on, and like the fight. Like, in the room with he's suspended from the roof by a single rope because he can't tie. He just gets the gun just in time. You know? I thought it was pretty good action sequence.
That now is kind of a very iconic kind of, I guess, image from Daniel Craig's era of him kind of grabbing the gun and spinning up and shooting upwards at the last minute. Like, that, for me, is a very iconic kind of image for his run as a whole. But it's really bad that now, because even like, honestly, I don't think the ending sequence is that great. Like, the ending sequence kind of is
the ending sequence in a hotel in the middle of the desert with generators that they'd say are very volatile at the start of the sequence that blows up. Crazy.
And then he's like, man, we're gonna die here. Oh wait, there's another explosive thing over there. All I need to do is shoot that and we're good.
Yeah, because exploding more things always fixes all your problems.
Just need more explosions. It's just the simple answer to the fact, honestly.
That's what we believe here at the Explosion Hour.
Can I just say, I played the PS3 Quantum of Solace game. Right?
I remember that. Yeah, I remember.
And
that game.
They have the last level, and the last level is a lot more in depth than what it actually is in the movie. Because I would have played that game like more recently than I'd rewatched the movie. That's for sure. So when I got to the last scene, and I swear I blinked and it was over, I was like, is that all? Because I remember playing the video game, and I was shooting a lot of henchmen and a lot of hallways.
Well,
and
it's like movies are roughly roughly around that time with like the tie-in video games was very common, and they just had to embellish the shit out of it. The one I always remember, just as a random tangent, is freaking Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which I'm like, how did you make a game out of this? Because it has the least amount of action, and they turned it into like an action game. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's the close to this movie isn't the greatest. You know, he just randomly drops her off at a train station, and see you later. We're done. We're just gonna ride into the sunset. Yeah, but as for I actually really do. Other than the bad edits, I would agree. I like the opening scene and the opening kind of chase scenes. Yeah. For one point, is a bit like, hey, look, we're gonna do action in this movie because we didn't do as much last time. But at the same time, I think Daniel Craig does some great raw hitting action, even just the small fight scene when he goes into the hotel room at the start and kills another person. I appreciate the close quarters action for that one as a whole.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd say my favorite is the chase with the dude and all that. That's the best one. I hate the car chase prior to that with a fucking passion. But otherwise, yeah, that was probably the best one. That wasn't as bad. Although it annoys me that it keeps cutting back to the bull thing or whatever. And I'm like,
who cares about this horse race? Yeah.
Like, why do you keep showing me this? It really doesn't play any significance, really.
I mean,
other than the run through it later. It's like,
yeah,
I think it's
big
and
deal.
He shoots a bunch of people.
Who cares? Why do they need to cut to it though? Up to that moment,
It's so unrealistic. Nobody freaks out. They all just keep going about their business.
Well, I think as a whole, it's supposed to show that like nobody hears the gunshots or anything, like because of the noise or whatever. Or I guess it's just supposed to be a setting for it.
Yeah. Cool underground warehouse or safe house though.
MI6.
Sure, they paid a lot of money to get those.
Yeah.
Underneath the catacombs and shit. Obviously, Olga Kurylenko, major Bond girl for this film. You know, I thought she was very good. She has her own, obviously her own agenda. Get into this random general who's very much a side tangent to our.
Who's very much just like a copy and paste bad militia general type. It's just very much like stick him in here. I feel that she suffers the most from the runtime of this movie. She does really well with what she's got, but I feel like there is no time for her and Bond to build up a...
There's no time to die? There's no time to die? Is that what you said? Did you say there's no time to die?
No. No. But no, there's no time to build up a connection between her and Bond. So it gets to the later stages where Bond starts to get really protective over her in many ways, even though, you know, it's because he's seeing a lot of himself in her and what he's just been through. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, why do these characters give a fuck about each other? They've barely spent any time together. He saw her at a hotel party, they ran away, his friend got shot, he killed a couple people.
He accidentally kidnapped. He accidentally stopped her getting her revenge. That's what happened.
What a white knight, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Shit.
Other, I guess, major Bond girl, Gemma Arterton, you like Dylan said, forgot who she was in the movie, is like very random. Very random that she's in there, very random what she does, and it's very random how she dies.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, she's like playing the proper spy girl, and I completely forgot that she was in it. So then when she disappeared, I was like, when she'll show back up? Cut to next scene, and she's fucking dead. Bond, look what they did to her.
Bond, she worked in a fucking office.
Bloody hell, Bond. She was only here to help you.
All she did was put fucking paper clips on fucking paper. Why is Gordon Ramsay M all of a sudden?
I was going to say, we're getting very close. I was about to say, the next step up from Gordon Ramsay is we got Peter Capaldi or some shit.
Why? It's a bit of a stretch when she's covered in oil. It's like, who's using oil?
Well, I think it's supposed to be like,
what a waste.
Hey, you know, our boring bad guy is really dangerous.
Yeah, but they've
they've done it before. You know what is it? Goldfinger, where the
Yeah, but they don't show him do it, so it's like, who cares? Like, it's not threatening. It's like the scene in Scarface where they have that dude get his arm chopped off with a chainsaw, but you're in the room. But if you only got told about it, it wouldn't be as threatening.
No, yep. So, again, Mathieu, Amalric, Dominic Greene, just a bad villain. Bad motivations,
He's like a tech nerd villain type character,
Yeah,
works
except not as interesting.
Yeah, in a different universe, he just works in fucking San Francisco trying to do a startup.
Do you think he wouldn't be as bad if we hadn't just had Lashif played so fantastically like the movie prior? I think that makes him seem even worse. Because of just the complexity that was Lashif and everything that happened around him.
I mean, he would still be pretty boring.
He would be boring, but it's like, well, guys, you kind of proved last movie that you guys could write a complex villain. So, really just going for the basic easy stuff this time, which could just, honestly, it is, what would this movie be in a world without the writer's strike at the time of it happening? Where they could put more time and effort into this movie.
Yeah. I just think they were missing, like, a actual, like, rival for Bond to face off against. Or someone who seemed like an actual threat, who wasn't a nameless goon. So, yeah. But, yeah. The whole plot of the thing was odd, Seems like a lot of... Why do you just want water in this one random South American country? That seems weird. I know, it's...
You know what? There was one point where they started talking about, like, in the orchestra scene where they were like, man, we okay to get this money for this pipeline. I'm like, guys, we're like 2 steps away from Phantom Menace political talk here. Let's just, get through this.
That would have been more interesting. All right. So this film, we had the song Another Way to Die, written by Jack White, performed by Jack White and Alicia Keys. It's fine. That's my opinion. It's very... it's cool. I mean, they're talking about Another Way to Die. It's kind of catchy. Interesting opening cinematic. Obviously, just diving straight into that sand motif, which is probably the only reason they had the finale where it was. So you could have the sand motif in the opening credits, but yeah. In my rankings of the James Bond film song so far, it's number 2.
What's your number 1?
My number 1. You Know My Name by Chris Cornell.
Yeah, he just looked it up.
No, I didn't have time to look it up. I had to clear it. Panic. Dylan, what'd you think of the song?
I really like it. I'd put this above Chris Cornell from last week. I think it's a waste for this movie because it doesn't live up to the standards of the rest of the movie. But I think it's really simple but catchy, sort of. It's like coming off the last movie, which was sort of more like suave Bond. You come into this one, and it's more like hard hitting rock sound, and it gives you it does play in well to having the film open with intense car chase scene and the general vibe of the movie being a lot more action paced and stuff like that. Now, of course, it wasted all because it's edited and shot poorly, but it's like I understand why I think the song was chosen and the genre and the tone and whatever else. But I think it's a good. I actually think it's a real catchy, it's simple song, and I like the sand motif or whatever we're calling it. Enjoyed all that as well. So yeah, I put this as number 1 currently on my list.
Interesting. Ciaran, what do you think?
I remember liking the song more than I do now. Like listening through to it, I think.
You mean last week where you randomly remembered it was a song and shouted out to it?
Yes.
And you've changed your mind now?
Yeah. I remember enjoying it the first time I heard it a lot more than I do now. Look, I couldn't put... Of course, it's going to be number 2 with Chris Cornell be number 1. And look, it's because, like, they've realised there's only, there's only 90 minutes of this movie. They couldn't possibly call it, any other way. There's got to be another way to die because 90 minutes isn't quick enough to kill long enough to kill James Bond.
Well, I mean, he does kill people very multiple ways, so...
That's true.
Actually, it's mostly just gunshots, but yeah.
That's why she got drowned in oil, so they could show another way to die.
Wow.
But yeah, it's suitable. It's kind of usable for the Bond film, but I don't think it is quite as good as Chris Cornell does in the first movie.
All right. Anything else you guys want to mention about Quantum of Solace? Other than what a woeful name.
Stupid name. Yeah, fucking terrible name. I remember Daniel Craig coming on Rove Live trying to explain this name. And Rove was like, explain the name. Daniel Craig's like, oh, you know, because like Bond, he's looking for his solace, and like the organization's called Quantum, so it's like Quantum of Solace. And Rove was like, fuck you, and he drop kicked, super kicked.
Ow!
What the fuck? Daniel Craig.
He super kicked Daniel Craig off Rove Live, off Channel 10.
Wow, I need to look up that video clip. That's crazy.
He found out live on air that Rove is a part of Quantum. You say hi to my mum for me, because she's dead as well.
These are some real hardcore Australian references.
Alright, let's know what you thought of Quantum of Solace, or Rove McManus dropped super kicking Daniel Craig on live TV by going to explosionet.com/Twitter, or jump to a Discord at explosionet.com/Discord. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tell people about what you want to watch and our road to No Time to Die. If you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionet.com/support and buy us a coffee. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.